Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into a really fascinating remedy, Mandragora, and it's all about this profound internal conflict, this battle between the man and the dragon living inside. Alright, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with that core duality, the man meets the dragon idea. Then we'll trace it back to its miasmatic roots, which is all about being an outsider. After that, we'll look at the psychological piece, the glass wall, see how it all shows up in the body, and then wrap up with the really practical stuff, the clinical keys you can actually use. Okay, first up, man meets dragon. You know, the name itself, it really tells you almost everything you need to know about this remedy's core struggle. So this quote, it just nails it, right? A human nature and a draconian nature. This gets to the absolute core of Mandragora. It's this never-ending, conscious battle. On one side, you have the civilized self, the one that wants to play by the rules and be good, and on the other, you've got this raw, instinctual, draconian force. This war inside is what defines the entire state. And what's so cool is how you can see these direct clinical clues hidden right in ancient folklore. I mean, think about it. Juliet's death-like sleep from that Mandragora potion in Romeo and Juliet? Well, that's the daytime drowsiness, the torpor we see in our patients. Or how about Harry Potter, the screaming mandrake room? It's a perfect, almost literal picture of their extreme sensitivity to noise. Even that old lover's myth, it points directly to this deep difficulty they have with conscious intimacy.
So you have to ask, where does a split this deep even come from?
Well, the answer, it's right there in its miasm. Mandragora falls squarely in the leprosy miasm. And this isn't just about feeling a little separate. It's this profound, enforced isolation from the world. It's not like psychosis, where you're trying to hide something. No, this is a core feeling that you are fundamentally unable to be part of society. A belief that if anyone saw your true nature, that dragon, you'd be completely cast out. And this image, wow, it just captures the patient's inner world perfectly. It's like a post-apocalyptic landscape. They literally feel like they're walking all alone among the rubble of a devastated land. And so often, this feeling comes from a childhood trauma, maybe with parents who were sick or just inconsistent. It leaves them feeling totally abandoned, wandering through the ruins of their own world.
Okay, so if you're living in this internal war zone, how on earth do you manage it? Let's get into the psychological mechanism they use to try and keep that dragon under control.
When a patient walks into your consulting room, you can often see this split right in front of you. The acceptable human self is what they show you first, right? They're controlled, rigid in their posture, their speech is measured, they're trying so hard to please. But then, you notice the instinctive dragon self. Maybe it's in their sharp, almost predatory physical features. Or maybe it just leaks out in these sudden, completely baffling outbursts of aggression that seem to come from nowhere.
And this glass wall idea is so important. It's a massive differentiator. See, other remedies might bury their dark side deep in the basement and try to forget it's there. Not Mandragora. For them, there's this glass wall. They're in a constant state of high alert, always watching their inner dragon on the other side. They're acutely, painfully aware of its presence and what it's capable of.
This leads to a really profound and very specific kind of guilt. Think about this. It's guilt for being, not for doing. This is so different from, say, belladonna, who feels guilty after they explode. The Mandragora patient feels guilty for the very existence of that aggressive impulse inside them. They feel guilty just for being.
So the whole dynamic is really a three-step process. You start with a traumatic history. That trauma creates this intense, desperate need to repress the dragon self. But you can't hold that kind of pressure down forever, right? It has to come out. And it does, in these spasmodic manifestations, both in their emotions and in their body.
All right, so let's talk about how this constant internal war shows up physically, because it absolutely has to, and it often does in some really striking and paradoxical ways. You see this huge paradox between their state during the day versus the night. During the day, the body is basically trying to sedate the dragon. So they're drowsy, they're torpid, apathetic, can't really take anything in. But then night comes, the conscious controls loosen up, and that draconian energy just bursts out. They get insomnia, they feel restless, almost electric, and they're plagued by these incredibly violent nightmares: war, blood, death, the whole shebang. So physically, the body is just swinging between two extremes, which perfectly mirrors that internal battle. You've got this intense contraction, think spasms, constrictive headaches, sciatica, abdominal pain. And then, when that fails, you get the total opposite: collapse. We're talking paralysis, numbness, and this constant low-grade vertigo that makes them feel totally disconnected from the world. Here's a huge clinical tip. Always look at the liver. Think about issues like fatty liver disease. It makes perfect sense, right? The liver is a classic place for the body to store all that suppressed anger and intense frustration. And you have to remember this one. It's such a peculiar but powerful keynote. They are better bending backwards. Things like sciatica, nausea, even shortness of breath can get better when they bend back. I mean, it's a total opposite of that cramped, spasmodic state. And if you see it, it's a huge confirmation. Okay, let's bring it all together. What are the key things you need to look for to really nail this remedy in your practice? How do we differentiate it?
This comparison with the other Solanaceae is absolutely vital. With Mandragora, the key is that glass wall. The awareness is constant. They are always watching the dragon. With Belladonna or Stramonium, it's totally different. That darkness is buried unconscious until it suddenly explodes. And don't forget the guilt. Mandragora feels guilty for just having the impulse. Belladonna feels guilty after the action.
And then you have these other unique little puzzle pieces that really help complete the picture. You got that extreme sensitivity to noise and odors, which again goes right back to the folklore. You often see a strong fear of, or even a fascination with, dogs, that animal instinct. And look for this weird paradox. They actually feel better after expressing anger, even just a little. And finally, this tendency towards kleptomania. Stealing little things they don't even need. It's like a tiny controlled leak of that forbidden, impulsive dragon self. So, here's the takeaway. The next time you have a patient in front of you who seems just a little too controlled. You know, they're trying so hard to be pleasant, but underneath you can just feel this intense, rigid tension. Ask yourself this question. Could there be a dragon behind the glass wall? Because you might just find Mandraga waiting for you on the other side. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.